I'll call this May 20, 2013 meeting to order, and I'll ask you all to stand and recite with us the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Call the roll, please, Steve.
Yes, sir. Schramke. Here. Shadle.
Here.
Wade.
Here.
Grisilius. Chairman Manchester.
Here. You have the minutes motion.
I do. I move that the reading of the minutes for the May 6, 2013 meeting be waived and that the minutes of said meeting as prepared by the secretary be approved as written.
Second.
Seconded by Grisilius. Discussion?
Shrimp. I'm Shrimpy.
I see one.
You said Grisilius.
Don't make it difficult.
You got Kathy on your mind, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give her one. There was a correction, I think, we had on the minutes. Attendance, if I'm not mistaken.
There was one in here on the correction of an address.
On May the 6th, we had, Wade was not here.
I was here.
Excuse me, Wade. Tyler was not here. And he has submitted his resignation, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, I'm sorry. I didn't want to make that more confusing than it is.
He wasn't on there.
Yeah.
Okay, it's right then. I know you're here because you had a lot of motions. You have the Concord United Methodist Church. That's,
You gotta call a roll first.
did he call the roll?
Not yet.
I'm sorry.
Wade.
Aye.
Schramke.
Aye.
Shadle. Chairman Manchester.
Concord United Methodist Church conditional use recommendation.
Here.
Board of Adjustment.
I move that this commission recommend approval to the Board of Adjustment regarding the application of Concord United Methodist Church for conditional use permit to expand a parking area at 5178 Hinckleville Road.
Second.
Second by Shramke. Discussion.
Yes, this is a conditional use permit application where the Planning Commission will be making a recommendation to the Board of Adjustment. With the Board of Adjustment, they will be holding a public hearing. This process is required because both of the churches and the school in that area are zoned R1 at this time, so the conditional use is required. They're proposing at this time to construct 18 parking spaces in the front, and then as you can see in the rear of the structure, they'll be adding some additional parking back towards the tree line at the rear of their property. And the applicant's engineering survey plus somebody with the church, I believe, is here if you do have any questions.
And I saw that you suggested there be additional trees added. I'm not seeing those on here. Where about would they be?
They may not be on here. After the conditional use permit is approved, they'll actually have to submit a site development plan, which will be very similar to this, and that will have to be in compliance with the Paducah zoning regulations.
I like the screening.
Yeah, the trees are part of the landscape regulations. And Chairman, do you want me to touch at all on future plans or?
If you'd like, yeah, go ahead.
Just as a side note, over the last several months, the city Paducah, at our suggestion, has taken on to review the land uses within that area and the possibility of a zone change in the future. So most likely over the next month, you're going to see a proposal come before the Planning Commission that could even look at rezoning some of these properties to bring them in to what is my opinion to be in more compliance with what the land uses are out in that area. The reason for that is it's existing R1 zone surrounded by commercial zones. Anytime they want to do anything that's outside the purview of single-family residential, it requires public hearings, them to do a variety of different things before they can get approvals to do so. So I would assume at some point in the future, pending signatures by those applicants, that you'll see something coming back before you.
Are we talking about something other than Inkleville Road or?
No, what I'm referring to is the two churches and the school on Hinkleville Road.
Churches in the school,
Yeah.
that area?
Yeah.
Well, they've been there forever. Okay. Any other questions? How many parking spaces total will be added in this recommendation?
The net. We're proposing 51 standard spaces and 2 handicap spaces.
How many handicap?
2. Those will be in the new parking area up front. There's already existing handicap spaces along the back in the existing parking lot. They're just
Some of the
reduction.
spaces you're eliminating, so what you're saying now, the 51 spaces, that's,
And then we're showing 12 spaces to be removed.
Are you not showing 143 spaces total after completion?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions? Pretty well defined on its east side by a fence, so. Our affirmative vote would be to recommend this to the Board of Adjustment. Call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Shadle?
Aye.
Wade?
Aye.
Crecilius?
Aye.
Shramky?
aye.
Chairman Manchester?
Aye. Mr. Apke, you have the Hamilton Living Trust and James and Linda Green request for waiver on South 9th Street and Walter Jeton Boulevard, and 2 parcels on Cowell Street.
I move that this commission receive and file the application of the Hamilton Living Trust and James and Linda Green for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 1005, 1015, 1021, 1027, and 1031 South 9th Street, 1006 and 1012 to 1034 Walter Jeton Boulevard, and 909 and 913 Caldwell Street. I further move that the requested approval be given and compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Second by Shadle. Now, this is in the M1 Light Industrial. Steve, what else? Light Industrial, I know we've got our ordinance here, just for the public.
Light industrial operations that are not objectionable to surrounding properties is the general terminology in the M1 zone. Additionally, storage units are allowed in the M1 zone, which I think could be the possible use here. It's existing zoned right now. Obviously, they're wanting to abolish all those interior property lines to create one track. And besides the other industrial operations, we have a pyramidal ordinance, so everything below it, which is your basic retail, professional offices, those things are also permitted in the light industrial zone.
Y'all have any questions?
I do have one question also, if I may. Was there an easement established where the old alley right-of-way used to be?
I'm not sure. I don't remember on the, when we closed the alley, if that did establish a.
It just popped into my mind. I know we've had engineering and planning review on this already.
Well, I have one question, and that deals with track 2. You have a 1-story Quonset hut building and a one-story brick building that are next to each other.
Mhm.
Then you only have 10 feet of additional space before the lot line. Would there be enough, let's say this property was going to be used by someone for parking, would there be available parking if they were going to use this building for something, some kind of use? I'm not sure that it has a use right now, but.
Well, within the lot, the tract is pretty much taken up totally with buildings.
Used to be a nightclub, I remember that.
And the parking was in these adjacent lots, I believe.
Would you like me to help answer that question for you, Kathy? What's actually happening here is you're actually increasing the size of the lot. The existing lot was actually probably 3.19 feet from that alley right away. So you're actually going to the other side of the alley. So you're actually creating a bigger lot than you had before this lot, and those buildings were always existing non-conforming. If they would come to the city, though, at some point in the future, in 5 or 8 years, and say, I want to change this to a restaurant.
Right.
At that point, it could be an issue, because there's several things they could do at that point. They would have to either create parking on their lot with another re-subdivision, or they would have to get an agreement from adjacent property owners within 400 feet of the principal entrance, and that's an in perpetuity type agreement. So through the zoning process, if it's a major change of use that requires much more parking, then they would have to address that at that time.
But they own the property surrounding.
Yes, at this time.
Right.
Is there still any ongoing business in those two buildings?
Yes, matter of fact, there's been quite a bit of revitalization within those structures. They've done a quite nice job rehabbing them. There's an antique store in one of them at this time, and he's got some future plans for the other structures.
I guess my question too is, on what portion of Track 3, or is Track 3, where they would be putting the storage buildings that they're proposing to build?
It just hasn't been determined yet.
I see.
It's not 100% that, there'll be storage buildings.
But you bring up a very good point. As far as for future planning for this development, certainly the reuse or future use of Track 2 should be considered.
Well, I mean, if it already has a use now, where are they going to park? I guess they're just allowed to park over here, but it's not part of the lot, is it? I'm just asking the question because I perceive that there could be a problem at some time.
Well, I think, like Steve said, there's actually more space, but granted, it's not enough for any more parking, but they do own all the property surrounding.
Sure, I understand that.
It's in many portions in your older sections of town, whether it be on a corner or like this, most of the structures didn't have off-street parking. They were on the corner or right up on the street with houses next to them, and it was just more of a neighborhood type of commercial center where parking was on the street. Certainly here, though, if there's any of those changes in the future that require a lot more parking, that could be an issue.
When was this zoned light industrial?
It's been more than 23 years ago, so I would say, gosh, probably back in the 60s maybe.
And I see
I'm-
there's only three,
Maybe a lot more than 30 years or 20 years ago.
there's only three really buildings on all of this property. The
Actually,
Club, the liquor store, and another dwelling on
right.
Walter Jeton.
Well, then the Greens have a building up on them, but on Hamilton Living Trust, yes.
Any other questions? Call roll, please.
Schramke,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Wade,
Aye.
Resilius, Chairman Manchester.
Aye. Mr. Wade, you have the Tanasha Bell waiver requested.
Chairman, I move that this commission receive and file the application of Tanasha Bell for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 1040 Flanor Street. I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah ordinance, subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Seconded by Resilius. Discussion.
This is the old Northside Elementary School block, and Miss Bell bought this, purchased it a few years ago, had it rezoned to an R4 zone, and now she's planning on putting some duplexes in there on these 3 lots that you see, tracks 1, 2, and 3. The school building's still there, and it will eventually be torn down, and then other duplexes put in as she progresses, but right now she's just going to be putting in the 3 on the tracks 1, 2, and 3. As you can see, it's got a huge sewer easement.
That was going to be my question.
Yeah, it's a huge storm and sanitary combined combination sewer goes right through the middle of it.
So it's not
Big.
an above ground,
No.
it is pipes below.
12 feet deep,
Wow.
96-inch pipe.
How will that affect track 3 as far as the buildability on that track?
Oh, she's got plenty of room. It's because it's just in the back. The duplexes are, of course, fairly wide, but they're not deep at all. So, I mean, there's plenty of room for them.
Okay.
She'll be putting it pretty close to that 25-foot building setback. She'll probably be starting around 30 feet deep. The apartment's only around 30 feet deep or so, or the duplexes, so it won't eat into the,
So the actual
Easement,
building
though.
will not be on top of the,
no, well, there can't be any building inside this easement.
I didn't think that was,
That's why we have it dimensioned so well, and we'll probably end up be marking it out there for the contractor too, to make sure he stays away from it.
Good idea.
Any other questions, discussion? Call roll, please, Steve.
Thank you, sir. Shadle,
Aye.
Wade,
Aye.
Resilius,
Aye.
Schramke,
aye.
Chairman Manchester.
Aye. Kathy, you have the EDC request for waiver at Hickman Court.
Yes, sir. I move that this commission receive and file the application of the Greater Paducah Economic Development Council for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 110 and 115 Hickman Court. I further move that the requested approval be given, and compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Seconded by Schramke. Discussion.
This is out at the Information Age Park. It was 1 lot. It's adjoining the Western Kentucky AGC building. Able Dentistry is going to be building a dentist office on the track 26-B-1, or the left side, or south side. The GPEDC will retain the northern part of this lot, B2. They're both vacant right now, but a new dentist office will be built on the southernmost track.
Is there a visible easement out there, or what's the purpose of that?
I don't know, that's what they wanted. They wanted to have access to that property in behind it. So they wanted to have a dedicated easement, 50 foot, so they could have access at some point, maybe in the future, to access the property in behind there.
Okay.
I remember at one point there was a proposal that came before us for some duplexes or apartment buildings to be built back in that area, I think. And there was some proposal
know.
for a road to be built, so perhaps that's what they're thinking about.
Could be.
It'll be on the books somewhere.
That property's in the county back behind it.
It is.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, there's nothing to prohibit them giving an easement if they want to, for whatever purpose.
That's just what they ask. I didn't ask why, but I mean,
And quite often, it's actually preferred, because as you look at future transportation and future subdivisions, when they start linking up to create a transportation network, if you have those easements in place, it certainly helps out. It doesn't mean you have to use them, but it can certainly help out.
And I think at one point, that property that I'm talking about was requesting to be annexed into the city, and that was part of the reason, was because they wanted, I think it was about the time when the law school was out
Yeah,
there, so that was part of that project. Yeah.
Do you know what the Stewart property is zoned as out in the county?
no, I didn't check on it, so I don't know.
Sit on the backside, on the other side of the
Mm-hmm.
that hill.
Assume it's urban or rural farm.
It is.
Any other questions? Steve, call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Griselius,
Aye.
Schramke,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
Wade,
Aye.
Chairman Manchester.
Aye. John, you have number 5, the request for waiver of subdivision on South 11th.
Yes. Let me find it here. I move that this commission receive and file the application of Miguel Pascual and Maribel Ramirez for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 1014 South 11th Street. I further move that the requested approval be given in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second.
Second, Griselius. Any questions?
We see these coming through quite often where somebody will own an adjacent property. It's city policy now that if you're going to build an accessory structure, you need to abolish the interior property line so the accessory structure sits on the same lot as the principal structure. If this is not done, then obviously throughout the city where we had vacant lots, people could just be putting accessory structures on them. So a lot of times we actually drive these waiver requests.
Making 2 lots into 1.
On the east side of the property, away from where the shed's going, there, the dotted line that runs down and crosses through the building, what is
Yes.
that? Is that a setback line?
Yeah, it is. It's a side yard line.
So it already encroaches on that?
Yeah, it's an older building. The building's probably built in I'm gonna guess around the 40s. The whole block was built in the 40s, and it's already, yeah.
Our world and welcome to it.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, I think my dimensions down there show those, shows what, you know, how much. It's a little bit. I believe it's a 6-foot side yard line. And of course, the house it's got 4.7. So, I mean, it's over about a foot there, a little bit better. But it's not much to do about that, I don't believe.
And it's vacant lots on the south side.
Yes, sir. The track 1 is vacant, unimproved lot. It's cleared off, looks nice. I believe it's this time now that wood storage building's already been cleared off of that. He's actually going to put an above-ground swimming pool in, and he got the deck to go around. That's what it's for.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Shadle,
Aye.
Wade,
Aye.
Griselius,
Aye.
Schramke,
Aye.
Chairman Manchester.
Aye, Lorraine, you have the Sue Clark waiver.
I do. I move that this commission receive and file the application of Sue Clark for the proposed re-subdivision of property located at 100 through 116 Broadway and 108 Maiden Alley. I further move that the requested approval be given and compliance with all other applicable provisions of the Paducah subdivision ordinance be waived.
Second?
Any questions? This is restore.
Basically, all we're doing here, this, if you remember, this came through maybe a couple months ago, and everything was approved. We held off on recording. We're trying to get some other documents lined up, but we noticed just a couple minor adjustments to the floor areas that were not correct. Basically, we changed some of the common area, some of the stairwell. There's some private stairwells, for instance, on Unit 100 off of Broadway. There's a private stairwell that serves Unit 200 only, or 201, and previously we had that designated as common area, when in fact it's a private stairwell for 201 only, so it was redesignated to include that floor area as part of Unit 201. And that also occurred Unit 104, I believe, and on the second floor, Unit 204, that goes up to the third floor. We had that shown as common area when in fact that stairwell is private for the third floor only. So that's all this is. We just made some minor adjustments. There'll be less common area, and that was redesignated as part of the individual units.
I have a question. All of these units are complete, and they were a bed and breakfast, or?
No. The first floor is retail, various restaurants, gift shops, whatnot. And then the second and third floors were part of the Foxbriar bed and breakfast.
So they'll all now be condominiums?
They'll be individual condominiums, and I believe she's going to market those for resale here shortly.
Any other questions or discussion? There being none, call the roll.
Schramke,
Aye.
Shadle, Wade,
Aye.
Grisilius, Chairman Manchester.
Aye. Any other business? We stand adjourned.